Okay, so we've done the background. The next thing that we're going to end up working on is this middle ground area right here. So you have a little outline right here, but you can tell that this is over this right here. One of the reasons is you've got a medium tone here, and this is a dark tone right here. It does appear that this cloud-like thing is a little bit above this, just simply because this is lighter. So that would be the one thing that I would tell you to do whenever you're actually deciding what value to use where and how to layer things. One key thing to tell you to do is if you have something dark, usually if you put something light-ish near it, it helps. So it's like every other thing that you do. So it's kind of light and then a value and then light and then dark and then light. So it's like every other, almost like a checkerboard kind of thing. And that does help to break up some things. I wouldn't do the same dark here that I would do here, because this would be pushed back as far as this if you ended up making this as dark as that right there. So visually you've got to have that range when you're actually working. So on something that's like this, it's real similar in nature to what you did here, except for there's just not that extra step of those lines that occurred there. So I'm not going to do this whole thing right here. We don't have time for me to do that, but I'm not going as aggressive or dark with just the lines that I'm making. And as I come to the central area, I'm starting to spread out my dots a little bit more. But it is when you're adding pointillism or any kind of hatching or cross-hatching value to what you're doing, you're constantly going back. Like I may have to go back and add a little bit more to this, like as I go. It just kind of is. Now, if you have areas that you want to actually leave white or it be perceived as white in your work, what you're going to do, and I'm going to show you guys this, you're actually going to add value to everything. So in these clouds, or whatever this thing is, as you can see, there is like this little halo of value that's going around it, although this is going to be very light or white. In these clouds with the stars right here, you can see it is relatively light, but there are these little dots that are happening everywhere. So you can see that in the line of this right here. But there are, even if you're leaving, like say this area, this is going to be like, there's still a little something there. So that would be one thing to just let y'all know, is that I am really expecting some sort of value on everything that you guys are doing. You don't have to overwork it, but I do want to see evidence of that. Because I will say your color will look richer. You'll have more confidence about just the value that you're going to end up putting here before you actually start. So when you have like an overlapping line right here going over a little form, if you can think about these things as 3D, you would have this little cast shadow that would occur on this cloud right there. So wherever you have a line, the key, I would say, is to do some sort of value, even if it's not much of anything. So this is the middle ground, but it's kind of behind what's going on here, and then this is obviously behind this and this. This is perceived as above, so I'm doing less of my dots here. Now, one of the things that I want to talk to y'all about a little bit is repetition of different types of values and different types of patterns. So if you look at the actual value that I did, or you can call this patterns that I did in the dark area of the checkerboard, I really did like this, and I tried to find ways to repeat it, but I didn't want it as harsh as that. If you want the eye to really go here, you've got to make this the heaviest. But I liked it, and so I repeated those lines here, and I also repeated those lines you can see in the stars right there. So that's one of the things that I was going to show you while I'm working here. So I'm gonna go through and let's see, what did I do? I ended up doing some pointillism here. I'm doing like every other section there. In general, if you're not doing a very graphic looking work, I was trained to not include lines and the pointillism dots together. It was supposed to not have an outline, but because this is definitely a piece that's very graphic and very pop arty and that sort of thing, we can break some rules when we're doing this. So I'm going to take this and kind of outline this a little bit, and you can add a little bit of dots in the in-between parts. So, and this is going to be my harshest line. This in general would probably be done before this happened, but since I'm demonstrating this, I'll kind of show you that. And like I said, even if I have a line that is perceived as really thick, I usually start off with my 01 as I'm working. Where my edges are, I tend to make my lines thicker, and then I come out, and that ends up being thinner. On the white parts, I may just put a little dots like in the corner areas. You could do some lines there. But these lines, and I didn't really show this, but they are going in different directions. If you look at this, they do have movement. You know, you have some that are going up and down. You do have some that are going horizontally and diagonally and all that. The same thing goes with the lines and those dots right there. So, you know, be playful with this, have a lot of fun with it. And I really feel like this is going to be something that is going to help you guys to grow as art people and all that. Okay, so anyway, I think that's the main thing to tell you, is just to really think about layering and emphasis, and what can I do just to give it that pop arty looking. It's very much, to me, almost like creating your own character with your shoe. I'm not saying it's a superhero or anything like that, but you are creating this persona, I would say, with the personality of your shoe. And yeah, don't be afraid to experiment, have a little bit of fun with this thing. But like I said, I am looking for pen and ink value. You don't have to overwork it. I'm looking for layered value, but I am looking for this in all the areas of your work. And I will end up attaching this actual drawing so that you can see what just some ideas that you can do. One of the things I would tell you is to look at your research before you actually start on the shoes. You did some research before we started drawing on different shoes, different pop art inspired shoes. You can look at different advertisements that deal with your type of shoe. I found quite a lot on Vans. I also found some really neat ones on Nike. but you're going to have graphic designers that actually design these posters that are really very cool, that deal with the shoe designs. I know that y'all probably found that, but anyway, the main thing to tell you guys is just to look at the directions. Make sure that you understand that in your composition you need to have light value areas in that, and you need to have medium value areas. So break up some things. I talk about different areas of mine that include those things. You need to obviously have dark value emphasized areas. You need to have thick and thin lines, so vary your lines initially as you start. And obviously you need to add some personality to your shoe with some lines and repetition of some things that possibly are in the background. And just think pop art, have fun, and be expressive. This is going to be due, and I think I'm changing the due date here. This is going to be due on 1/20, because I think we're off on that Monday. 1/20/21 at 3 o'clock. So I think that should give you guys enough time. If there are any questions, y'all just let me know. And yeah, y'all enjoy.